Imagine you're climbing a mountain, not a famous one, not one with cameras, just a steep slope that feels like it has no end. Your legs are shaking, your lungs burn. Every step feels heavier than the last. And then a voice appears in your head. Stop! You've done enough. Turn back. Rest. Most people think this voice is weakness, and they assume the people who reach the top don't hear it. But that's not true. Psychologists have found something interesting. The people who refuse to quit hear that voice too. They feel the same pain, the same doubt, the same exhaustion. The difference isn't what they feel, it's what they do next. And that difference may explain one of the most important human questions. Why do some people keep going when everything inside them says stop? To understand this, we have to go far back in time, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Because persistence didn't begin in gyms or classrooms. It began with survival. Early humans lived in a world where food wasn't guaranteed. Energy was limited. Every action had a cost, so most animals evolved to stop when the cost became too high. But humans developed something unusual, a strategy called persistence hunting. Instead of outrunning prey, humans would simply keep going. A deer might sprint away, faster, stronger, more agile. But it must stop to cool down. Humans don't. We sweat efficiently. We regulate heat better than most animals. So we keep walking, then jogging, then walking again. Hour after hour, the animal runs, rest, until eventually it collapses from exhaustion. Not because humans were faster, but because they refused to stop. This ability helped shape human survival for thousands of years. Persistence, not speed, became one of our greatest advantages. But here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't actually want you to persist. It wants you to stop. Not because it's weak, but because it's efficient. For most of human history, wasting energy could mean death. Food was uncertain. Rest was valuable. Survival depended on saving effort. So the brain evolved a system that constantly pushes you toward the easiest option. This creates a conflict inside every human being. One part wants growth. The other wants safety. One pushes forward. The other pulls back. You feel it in everyday life. The student wants to study, but the brain wants comfort. The athlete wants to train, but the brain wants rest. The entrepreneur wants to build, but the brain wants certainty. And for a long time, people thought success came down to willpower, more discipline, more control, more mental strength. But research tells a different story. Elite performers, athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs don't feel less discomfort. They feel it too. The difference is how they interpret it. Most people see discomfort as a signal to stop. They think, if this is hard, maybe I shouldn't continue. But persistent people interpret it differently. To them, discomfort is not a warning. It's a sign of progress. Same feeling, different meaning, and meaning changes everything. But persistence isn't just about pain. It's also about uncertainty, because sometimes nothing seems to happen. Imagine planting a seed. Day 1, nothing. Week 1, nothing. Month 1, nothing. Most people quit here. Not because they can't continue, but because they need proof. Humans want visible progress. But some growth is invisible, like bamboo, which spends months building roots underground before suddenly shooting upward. Human progress often works the same way. Skills, success, relationships. They develop quietly before showing results. And this is where persistence becomes difficult. You have to continue without evidence, without reward, without certainty. Psychologists call this delayed gratification, choosing long-term rewards over immediate comfort. And across studies, one pattern repeats: people who can wait tend to win long-term. But here's something even more surprising. Persistence is not mainly about motivation. Motivation is unstable. It rises and falls every day. If persistence depended on motivation, almost no one would succeed. Instead, research shows something else drives long-term persistence: identity. People don't just do the work. They become the type of person who does the work. A runner runs because they are a runner. A writer writes because they are a writer. A builder builds because that's who they are. And once identity forms, quitting becomes harder because you're not just giving up an action. You're giving up a version of yourself. But persistence has a darker side because not everything should be continued. Sometimes quitting is intelligence, not failure. The real challenge is knowing when to stop and when to adapt. Ancient humans faced this constantly in hunting. Too early, you lose the prey. Too long, you waste energy. Modern life is the same. When do you change careers? When do you leave a path? When do you pivot a goal? The answer isn't blind persistence. It's flexible persistence. Continuing the mission, but changing the method. Another key factor is purpose. Psychologist Viktor Frankl observed that people can endure extreme suffering when they have meaning. The pain doesn't disappear, but the reason changes how it feels. A burden is unbearable when it has no purpose, but that same burden becomes manageable when it serves something meaningful. Strong reasons create strong persistence. And finally, there is one more truth. Modern life makes quitting easier than ever. Everything is instant: food, entertainment, information. But human psychology evolved in a world where rewards took time, often a very long time. This mismatch creates a problem. When results don't appear quickly, the brain assumes nothing is working. And quitting becomes tempting, but most meaningful things in life work in silence. Progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. So when that voice appears again, the one telling you to stop, remember this. That voice is ancient. It evolved to protect you. But there is another voice too. Quieter. Older. Deeper. The one that kept humans moving across deserts, mountains, and oceans. The one that built everything around you. The one that refuses to stop. And sometimes the difference between failure and everything you ever wanted is just one more step.